Okay, we're recording, we're on. So thank you guys so much. Yay. Welcome you guys to our webinar this evening. My name is Beth Basham, and I'm going to be guiding you through a presentation tonight on how to hit your goals in 2020, how to help support you with 8 strategies that I feel have been really foundational in my work with my patients as well as myself, because we got to practice what we preach when it comes to health and wellness. So it's my sincere pleasure to be presenting this information to you guys tonight, and I hope that it's helpful for you. I'll try to leave a little bit of time for questions at the end, so if you guys do have any questions, we'll definitely jump into those. So if you give me just one moment, I'm going to queue up the presentation here. And I got some slides. I even made a slide deck for y'all. So that's kind of fun. Let's see here. All right. And then I have to, can you guys see my screen okay? You guys see?
Yep.
Give me a little, yeah, okay. Awesome. Hey, so again, my name is Beth, and we're going to be chatting about some awesome strategies for hitting your goals. And I just forwarded a slide. Okay, so who am I? Some of you on the presentation actually know me, which is so cool. I love seeing familiar faces on this little Zoom chat. For those of you who are unfamiliar with me, I am a dietitian here working in Cheyenne. I have a background in functional medicine, and I love working with women especially on mindful eating and intuitive eating, because I find that it's an incredible base for us to really accelerate our goals. I'm just going to mute a couple of you. I hope that's okay, just to help limit the background noise. So unmute yourself, Lisa, Tanya, if you need to. But it's really been my passion over the past about 13, 14 years of being a dietitian to really help people in a very holistic approach. So of course, nutrition is my bread and butter with what I do with clients and patients, but I really love diving into the other aspects that make us a truly whole being. So instead of searching for the whole, H-O-L-E, in the person, I love to look at the whole person with a capital W, H-O-L-E. So that's kind of my passion and what I've really been guided to in my work. So I'm really glad to say that I love what I do. I'm really grateful for that. So tonight we're going to dive into, it's New Year's resolution time. We're going to dive into why diets just aren't working anymore for people. 95%, and you hear this statistic kind of range from 90 to 95%, but most diets fail, okay? Very few people will get on the diet train and have long-lasting lifetime change and support from that dietary change. When it comes to New Year's resolutions, 25% of people stick with a New Year's resolution for more than 30 days. So that means the rest of the 75% gave up, usually after week 1. I mean, how many times have any of you guys been to the gym? And you go to the gym, and the first 2 weeks in January, it's hell. Like, you can't get on a machine, you can't do anything. Just wait till the end of January, you'll be fine. No one else will be coming back to the gym. And 8% of people who set out to follow their New Year's resolution long term, only 8% of them actually accomplish the goal that they were going after. And I want you, everybody watching this webinar, and anyone I work with really, to be in that 8%. I want to see people through to the end. If we could get all of the information we needed about diet and nutrition and wellness and health on the internet, which you technically can, none of us would have health issues, right? None of us would be dealing with our bodies, with our health in the way that we do. I mean, it's a billion-dollar industry, the health and wellness industry. So there's a reason for that. We need extra support. So I just want to make sure y'all that are listening tonight are in the right place. So this webinar is really for the person who's tired of prepping to start another diet, which ultimately is going to land you possibly back where you started, maybe even a step further, and a lot of people gain weight after dieting. You're somebody who's ready to make lifelong changes that last. You're ready to escape the overwhelm of knowing what to eat when everybody on the internet or in the different clinics says something different. Or perhaps you guys are just done counting carbohydrates, macros, calories, whatever kind of counter is out there, and you're tired of using that as your scale for success. It's possible that some of you in the webinar tonight are dealing with some digestive issues. And a lot of times those digestive issues are things that the doctor can't really pin the finger on as to why you're having digestive issues. It's not a requirement that you have digestive issues to be in the webinar, but it's not an uncommon thing I hear about. And then really ultimately you're here because you want a better relationship with food and to stop dealing with those voices of judgment that kind of spin around your head when it comes to food and body. So I'm hoping you answered yes to at least one of those things. Can you guys like raise your hand if, or I guess some of you are not, you have, okay. Okay, we got some, I love it. Okay, I'm wrong, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so I think you're in the right place. All right, so tonight we are gonna cover, as promised, the number one mistake people make when goal setting. Commonly around New Year's, the pros and cons of some popular diets out there. And then the bulk of the conversation tonight is going to be about some strategies for reaching your goals, lifelong goals in 2020. And I will be offering you guys a special opportunity to dive deeper into this material. So if you like what you're hearing tonight, you like the energy of what's being covered, I'm going to have a really special opportunity for you to get more. So please stay tuned for that. Okay, and I want to just give you a background as well. Some of you listening already know this story, so just, you know, you can tune out, go check on your kid or whatever. But I want to connect with you guys and let you know that your struggle, if you're struggling with any of those things I mentioned earlier, was a struggle that I had as well. You know, I've been a dietitian for 13 years, but my conventional training just hadn't been enough to really help me harness my relationship around food and body to the way that it is today. And I was struggling with issues with energy. I was really having some issues with depression and anxiety, as well as extra weight that I just could not for the life of me get rid of. I was going to the gym, I was teaching yoga classes, fitness classes. I was counting my calories. I was on the calorie counter. I was, you know, like per the calculations of calories in versus calories out, I should have been losing a pound a week. You know, I was trying to do it slowly, but the scale was going the wrong way. I was also obsessed with checking the scale. I weighed myself almost every day, and I allowed that to dictate how I felt for the rest of the day. So it was not a happy place to be in, but I know that struggle and going through that really helped me help my clients even more because I've been there. I've felt those emotions. And a lot of what I'm going to be talking about tonight is how I set myself free from that. And really, I mean, to this day, of course, I'm human just like you and I, like all of you, but I have very few of those issues that I did in the past. So let's talk about the number one mistake people make when they're setting their New Year's resolutions and why they fail. One of the things that I see a lot with my clients is that they're looking at what others are doing. So they're scoping the internet, they're talking to their girlfriends, and they're seeing all this success, right? This person is doing this strategy, this person's doing that strategy, and they assume that the rules that this other person is following is going to apply to them. So they think, I'm going to go all in, I'm going to do this. Someone else has the answers, right? Basically, somebody else has the answers for my health and for my life. They're also likely not tuned into their body, so they're going up against resistance when they're making decisions about health and wellness. They're forgetting that self-care is more than just watching what you eat. It's actually, you know, taking the time to really understand kind of the deeper reasons why diets haven't worked in the past, and really uncovering that before they move into a new nutrition routine or exercise routine or whatever. You can insert whatever kind of self-care routine in there. Now, another thing I find is really key, and I'm going to be diving into this in some of the strategies, is that no one has ever taught people how to eat. Okay. Early in my days as a dietitian, I was a dietitian for the WIC program, Women, Infants, and Health. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that program, but did a lot of counseling on how to a lot of the issues that the families that came in are like, how do I get my kid to eat more or less, or how do I get them to eat, period. And I spent a lot of time doing a lot of family counseling. And what I recognized early on, and what became more apparent as I started working more with adults, is that very few of us are taught how to eat. We're often bombarded with messages from even the USDA: eat your 5 fruits and vegetables a day. You know, people, there's a fear of fat, which is a whole nother conversation, but there's a lot of messages that say how to eat, but very few messages that are mainstream about how to eat. So we know the what, but the how is eluding. And I'll share more about this soon, but that can actually have a huge impact on the way that our metabolism works. And so when we're setting New Year's resolutions, we're maybe getting the information about what, but we're not learning how. And we're fighting against our biology, because you guys, we're hardwired as human beings to crave sugar and fat. And I see so many people cutting all the sugar, all the fat out of their diet and wondering why they feel so sad about it. Okay. And it's not about willpower. And I want to make sure everyone on this webinar knows that if you crave sugar and fat, okay, I do too, there's nothing wrong with you. Okay. There is absolutely zero wrong with you. In fact, you were hardwired as a human to crave those things. That's one reason our brains got as big as they did. That's one reason that we are here as a very conscious species on this planet, is because we crave sugar, which helped with brain development. Now, our environment, genetics don't necessarily match our environment today. So that can be a cause for concern, right? Because we're kind of overwhelmed with the amount of sugar and fat that are available to us. But there is nothing wrong with you for craving those in the first place. All right. And then the last thing I see that people failing for is because they don't have a deeper why. They don't know exactly why they're wanting to lose weight, get healthy, etc. There's not always a defined underlying reason for the opportunity to keep going, right? Whenever we set a big goal for ourselves, if we don't have a bigger why, especially a why now versus any other time in history, it's really easy to fall off track and go back to our old habits. You guys with me so far? See, okay. Making sure everyone's good. All right, so let's talk a little bit about popular fad diets, okay? If you guys want to unmute yourself and shout out some diets that you have seen out there. What are some popular ones right now? What are the ones that are all the rage?
Ideal protein.
Ideal protein. That one I've never heard of. Is that weird? Keto. Okay. Yeah, that one I know. What else?
Weight Watchers.
Okay. Weight Watchers. Definitely. I mean, there's even, Atkins is kind of it's kind of like the keto, but Atkins is kind of, I've seen a little bit about that. Intermittent fasting. I mean, we've got our paleo diets. We've got our Whole30 Mediterranean diet. You guys, DASH diet, is that anyone recognizes? Okay. No, some of you are shaking your head. No, that's kind of an old one. It's not old. It's actually still a research-based one for lowering blood pressure, but, not as big on social media anyway. So I've even seen the whole like manifest your body diet. That's a new one I've been seeing on the social networks, is, think yourself thin, and there's actually something to that, but it's a little bit sensationalized. In either case, there's a lot of diets, and what's the common theme between all of them? They're
expensive.
They're expensive. Okay. And they're all telling us to do different things, right? Like they're all, keto is like high fat, high protein. Then you have Mediterranean, which is it's a lot higher in carbs. And everybody says, beans are good, beans are bad, eggs are good, eggs are bad. There's literally information on the internet everywhere that will prove that whatever food you want to eat will be good for you, or whatever food you want to eat will be bad for you. Yeah? I mean, you can pretty much Google, why is butter bad for you? And then you can also Google, why is butter good for you? And you're going to find very reasonable arguments to share one way or the other. Now, the truth of the matter, you guys, is nutritional science, like the actual science and research of nutrition, is pretty young. It's a pretty young science. We are still learning so much. There's so much that we don't know. Even the gurus, the experts who pledge, even me, who pledges to know a lot about nutrition, it's changing and evolving every day. Um, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. And I've learned that over time. I'm going to give you some strategies for what I found to be the most true for me in this moment, but we have to be open to these things shifting and changing. I'm sure like 2 years from now, everyone's going to be like, oh, keto killed this person, or I'm not killed, but you know what I mean? There's going to be some sort of sensationalized information about how this diet wrecked this person or this diet saved this person. So the thing about the pros of popular fad diets, however, are the following, and it's that they do offer us a template for success. People don't do these diets and fail in the beginning. If you follow the template for pretty much any popular diet, you're probably going to feel a little bit better, mostly because you've removed the processed foods, maybe you've removed a lot of extra sugar and things that are more inflammatory in the body. So of course you're going to feel better. You're removing whole food groups in many cases. So, so, feeling better initially is not uncommon. Now, that said, sorry, I just got to check my notes, make sure I'm not missing anything said. And it also inspires us to take action, right? So all of the marketing and all of the flashy stuff online was like, oh my God, look at that lady's results. That could be me. Oh my God. It inspires us to start taking action. So we get off the couch, go prep a meal, and that's good. That's a good thing. So I'm a fan of that. I actually really like like the Whole30 diet plan. I'm actually kind of a big fan of a lot of their recipes. I use them with my clients, so it's not that they're not nutrient dense. They do sometimes inspire us to take action. And they often connect us with other people, like a lot of the keto community, the paleo community, the Whole30 community, the whatever Weight Watchers community, they're communities. And I have found through my research and also through my experience that community is a powerful healing agent. So I love when we're connected with one another because I really feel that propels our health. Now, the cons of a lot of these popular diets, some of you may already know, but they rely on so many rules. And they tend to exacerbate our desire. Like we feel so strongly about the rules that we stop listening to the signals of our own body. So I've seen this time and time again with women who go on these super, super low carb diets, right? Like cutting out all the carbs. When they sit and they're wondering why they're so tired and why they're craving donuts all the time and why they watch their coworkers eating chocolate and they like get anxiety and anger, right? Like these are real stories from clients I've worked with. They're not listening to their body cues and they're not allowing themselves to eat the things that they need to have the energy to go throughout their day. I'm not saying that low carb isn't good for many people, but for many of the women I work with, especially those with hormone issues, keto just doesn't always work. So I'm just using that as an example. So oftentimes we want to rebel against the rules from the diet, and that's why oftentimes they're not successful. Now, many of these diets can also lead to long-term nutritional deficiencies when there are a lot of food groups removed. So a lot of I'm not bashing on keto. I'm really not, because I think there are therapeutic times and places for keto, but I find that people who just dive in are eating. I saw a social media post, you guys, and this person had made a keto cake. It was hot dogs and that squeezy cheese that comes out of the can. Yeah, it was like decorated with cream cheese and squeezy cheese. And I don't know what was in the center. It was probably like meat. And they're like, oh, it's my keto cake. And I'm like, like this is keto gone completely wrong, right? Keto should you can still include a lot of greens and vegetables and healthy fats. And, I could go on and on. But the point is, if we're not thinking about nutrition deficiencies, it's really easy to fall into a nutritional deficiency trap. So when we're especially cutting out a lot of major food groups. Now, these diets are also really hard to follow long-term, right? Like anybody can do a fad diet for a couple weeks, maybe even a few months, see results. but is it going to be your long-term road to success? From what I've seen, not so much. There's always an exception to the rule there, but are determined to follow the rules. The nutritional deficiencies that over time become more evident are reasons that I tend to pay less attention to fad diets, because they come and they go. They have merits for sure, but there's definitely some major cons that I want all of you to consider when you're scrolling your social media and considering joining X, Y, and Z program for weight loss or digestive health or whatever it is. Okay. So are you guys ready to talk a little bit about these strategies? Okay. All right, so I am going to start by talking a little bit about nutrition. I can't not talk about nutrition, but I'm also going to talk about some non-nutrition things. So the first thing I tell people when it comes to diet nutrition is that we've got to really sit down and look at what we used to eat as humans when we evolved. Okay, even if we can look back 200 years, 100 years, our food supply and our chain of the foods that are available to us today have dramatically changed. I mean, even 50 years ago, going into a grocery store is a completely different experience than it is today. We have so many, I call them faux foods and greenwashed foods that have health claims on there, but are just full of processed, laundry lists of ingredients, including chemical derivatives and things that are hard to pronounce, right? That our great grandmother would never have recognized as food. Okay. So when I'm helping people kind of get on the road to success, just start making choices on foods that are going to help them feel better. Instead of saying, oh, go on X, Y, or Z diet, I encourage them to start thinking about what foods your great grandmother would recognize as food. Now, as our generationally get older, we might have to start adding great grandma to that equation, but just step back into the shoes of somebody that was living 100 years ago and what they would recognize as food. Certainly they're going to recognize, some sweet things as foods. They're going to see maybe a cake or a bowl of pudding, and they're going to recognize that as food, right? But they're probably not going to recognize Twinkies and Cheetos and these like weird faux meats that are on the market now. Still haven't made my decision on what I think of those, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's definitely these new foods that are appearing that if you turn the label over, you have to get a magnifying glass to read what's in them. And I wouldn't consider that a food that my great grandma would recognize, right? So this is just a really good tip. Just start eating more real food. So this is maybe pretty logical to a lot of you listening, pretty simple and straightforward. But I encourage you to go to your pantry after the presentation or sometime tomorrow and just look at what's in your pantry and start determining what's real food and what's not. And notice if there's a percentage of how much real food you have in your pantry and refrigerator compared to like a list of ingredients that's longer than 7 or 8 ingredients. I consider to be questionably processed. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah. All right, so that's one thing that you can carry into 2020 that I truly believe can make huge and impactful change is just eating the stuff that great grandma recognized. Now, another thing that might feel a little bit dangerous, especially those of you who have been on diets in the past, is to actually enjoy the things that are sweet in your life. So, and don't get the fake sugar stuff. So like, get the real sugar, real deal, yummy, delicious brownie, fudge cake, whatever it is that's made with real ingredients, and enjoy it with a calm mind. Now, some of you on the webinar have heard me preach this a little bit, but did you guys know that when we physically have an emotion over a food, it affects our metabolism and the way that we assimilate nutrients and the way that our digestive power works? So let me give you an example. If you look at a fudge brownie, okay, let's just fudge brownie. Most people like chocolate, not everyone, but you could insert whatever your favorite dessert is in there. And you look at it and you're like, oh my God, if I eat that, I'm going to get fat. I'm going to get, I'm going to feel terrible. Like, you start all these thoughts, all these negative thoughts start to penetrate your moment, okay, where you're supposed to be enjoying that dessert, and they come in, it's actually going to change our hormones. It's going to change our digestive, the way that our digestion works. And we're not able to, physically not able to turn that calorie from the dessert into nutrition for the body. And what happens is all these stress hormones rush in, and it can cause digestive distress. We get, like if you eat the brownie, you feel terrible, but it also increases hormones such as cortisol and insulin, which tend to cause blood sugar imbalances. I mean, I could go deeper here, but the idea is that literally the thoughts we have about the food in front of us can greatly impact the metabolism and how we turn those foods into energy and support for our bodies. So I'm not going out here and saying you guys go eat fudge brownies every single day. Like I'm all about moderation, but when you're having a dessert, it's somebody's birthday at work, it's maybe one of your kids' birthdays at home, go for the recipe with all of the real ingredients and use real sugar, and just appreciate. And we're going to talk a little bit about gratitude towards the end, but just appreciate what you've got, eat it slowly, mindfully, and it can make a huge difference in turning those calories into fat versus turning those calories into energy, which is huge. It's important. I personally gave up artificial sweeteners, and my digestion completely transformed, like completely transformed. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. This webinar is going to get too long if I say too much more. I can talk a lot. So, so please do just kind of do this to me, Tanya and Lisa. I can see your video. Come on, Beth, keep going. All right. So this is another controversial one. When I work with patients, they hate this one or they love it. It just depends. But throwing away the scale in 2020 is going to do you all the favors in the world, I promise. When you look at the numbers on the scale, who judges you the hardest? You do. Yeah. When we use the scale to dictate our success with our health, more times than not, now it certainly can be something we use on occasion, but if we use it on a regular daily or weekly basis, it can totally screw with us. Totally screw with us. This was my issue right before I had kind of my epiphany. I was weighing myself all the time, watching that number go up. Every time I got on the scale and the number went up, guess what happened to my emotional health? It went in the SHITTER. Okay. It was not good. And that stress from that number going up didn't do me any favors. I promise you. So when we're able to, and I know this is hard, but throw that scale away, at least put it in a deep, dark closet down in the basement where you just won't be tempted to go get it. Give it to a friend. If you're afraid to like totally throw it away, just like give it to a friend for a month and say, hey, I might want to ask for this back. It's okay. It's okay to have a backup plan, but going by how you feel with your health, I'm going to, again, tell you some more information about this, but going with how you feel with your health is the most logical. You can use your pants and your clothes and, see how those fit to help you gauge, how you're doing. But that scale, you guys, women especially, we can gain 5 or 8 pounds in a day and lose it in a day because of the water fluctuations and hormone changes that happen throughout our monthly cycle. Even if we're not having our menstrual cycle anymore, we can still have great variation in our weight. So just getting rid of the scale is really such a powerful way. Empower yourself to stop using that as your judge and start using the feeling in your body, how you're feeling, your energy levels, your mood, to really gauge success versus what's going on that little numerical scale. This is another powerful one. Number 4 is learning how to say no. When I work with clients, I always, especially when I work one-on-one with clients, and most recently, I've been really gauging. I'm very picky about who I work with, to be honest, because I want people who are ready to really attach themselves to their success and do what it takes to get there. And oftentimes that is learning how to say no. Okay. So I was teaching a class, and one of the women said, but I just don't have time to cook. I just don't have time. And what I did with her in the class, it didn't take very long, but we did a time inventory, and I asked her about her day and what she was doing and this, that, and the other. And it turned out she was working 12 hours a day. And we just really looked at that. And I asked her, I said, what's important to you, your health or your career, your health or your job in this moment? And she said, my health, because she was not doing well. She had all kinds of autoimmune issues and all kinds of things. And I said, what is going to help you make the next decade of your life the best? And she said, feeling better. That was an important part of her goal. I said, if that's true to you, if that's truly true to you, you're going to find a way. In her situation was to cook more for herself, because she thought she could make healthier choices if she was able to go grocery shopping and cook foods for herself. So she recognized that she had to say no to her job, not quit her job, okay, just keep that in mind, but not work 12 hours a day either, and set some boundaries for herself so that she was able to start taking the actions that would create better health, long-term health for herself. And she found, I did talk to her I think it was like a month and a half or 2 months later, she had come into the clinic. And she said, my job was really open and appreciative, like it was no big deal for her to cut back her hours a little bit. A lot of times we put this pressure on ourselves to be obligated to people, even to careers, to all kinds of different things in our lives. So taking an inventory of what we're saying yes to and noticing how that benefits us versus pulls back from our goals is such an important thing that everyone should do at the beginning, not only the beginning of the new year, but the beginning of any new quarter, maybe, is looking at what's not working and saying no to the things that are no longer serving us. How many times have you heard that? Especially women, you've heard that before, right? Like, this isn't new information for a lot of you, but gosh, is it hard, Since becoming a mom a couple years ago, I found this learning how to say no is especially challenging. Anyone else? Yeah. Mom guilt is like a total real thing, like huge real thing. So, yeah. So this is a tough one. This is one that you kind of have to piece apart. It's oftentimes helpful to work with someone on this one. But where can we give back to ourselves so that we're able to give back to others? How do we fill up our cup so we can fill up others? Such an important strategy if we're going to make long-term changes. All right, number 5, and I'd mentioned this briefly in the beginning, but learning how to eat, not just what to eat. For so long, the experts have been telling us what to eat, giving us plans, strategies, how to weigh your food, how to do this and that to meet your goals. But learning how to eat, you guys, is incredibly powerful. As I mentioned before, our emotions actually affect our physical health and the way that our metabolism operates and the way that certain hormones are released. Did you guys know that 90% of your body's serotonin is actually produced in your digestive system? When you guys hear the word serotonin, you might think of like a feel-good hormone for the brain. Okay, maybe you don't even know what serotonin is. It's totally fine. But throughout time and space, we've always learned that serotonin is this ingredient for making us feel happy. But most of that hormone is actually created in our gut. So tending to how we eat and how calm and relaxed the nervous system is in our gut can actually influence how much serotonin is created. So if we're eating in a space of rest and digest, of peace and calm, it actually increases the production of these feel-good hormones and these hormones that help us feel full faster. And eating under the influence of positive emotions, more or less, can affect positively our metabolism as well as our digestion. So I had a client, I'm going to tell you more about this class I've got coming up, but I had a client come out of this class where we really dove into how to eat. And when she came out of this class, she, prior to, had been eating a bowl of chili. Anytime she ate beans, she just got like terrible gas and bloating. She always felt distended. She felt terrible. So she loved chili, but she just always knew that she'd need to stay home that evening. You know what I'm saying? If she was going to enjoy a bowl of chili. after the class and after learning techniques on how to eat, Amy was able to not only eat her bowl of chili, but she was able to eat it and still enjoy the rest of her evening because she didn't have any more digestive distress. She didn't change ingredients. She didn't, eliminate X, Y, or Z food from the chili. She ate the same chili she had always made, but she did it with certain techniques, learning how to eat to help support her digestion and ultimately feel better. So super powerful, you guys. How to eat is such a powerful thing. Number 6, this is a big one, and it's don't go it alone. I talked about community earlier, and I'm going to emphasize it again. But if you're looking to make lifelong changes with your health, please consider doing it in the capsule of a community. I don't know if that makes sense. In a community with support, with people who truly care about you. I've recently been leading, and some of you are in this group, I've been leading a group at a clinic here in town. And it has been an amazing group because it's not me just spouting out information, but it's a group of people who are going through the same thing together. Community heals. And we actually have research data on this now. They're doing research on how community programs can actually enhance the healing within that group of people. Like it enhances it by a significant, I wish I had the numbers in front of me and I should, but it's a significant percentage of just doing some work one-on-one with somebody versus doing it in a community or a group type of setting. It enhances actionable behavior changes and actual results that the people in the group are getting by a tremendous amount. So surrounding yourself by a team of friends and healthcare providers that align with your vision of yourself, so that really listen to you and take the time to listen to you, is a critical part of meeting your goals in 2020. If you don't have a team of friends and healthcare professionals who are on your side, you've got to go find them. We're so isolated, right, with technology. How many of you have seen those memes on Facebook? I spend way too much time on Facebook, but they're like, their faces are like sucked into the screen. Have you guys seen those? It's like really scary because it's true. Like you walk around, you go to a restaurant, you see this couple, they're on their first date and they're like both like looking at their phones. It's really weird. But it's also really normal now. So we're very isolated in our little virtual worlds in many cases. So we all are craving community. We're craving connection with one another. At least I know I am. I don't know about you guys, but I find that community, when we're able to really connect with humans, like eye to eye, like kind of like we're doing now, like through this webinar, it is so much more impactful than just, scrolling on your phone. And, having those conversations with other people can be powerful because then you feel less alone. There's some amazing, you guys are all in Cheyenne, there's some amazing healthcare professionals in Cheyenne. I would highly recommend, feel free to reach out to me if you want some recommendations, because there are people in this community that can help you, that truly care about you and will not let you do this alone. Okay. So this is a really good time. I have a few more strategies to share with you. And of course, I want to open it up for questions. Also want to keep an eye on the time. But I want to make sure you guys know about a program that's really near and dear to my heart. I ran a program back in October. It sold out. We had 14 amazing women in this program. And I want to share a little bit about it with you today and tell you about something special I'm offering to you. But I want you guys to know that getting support from a professional here in Cheyenne, as well as within the community setting, is no longer impossible. We are going to help you. I am personally going to help you want to help you reach your goals by teaching you not only what to eat, but also how to eat. Therefore, I've taken the program that I ran in October. Okay, it was a 4-week program out of a doctor's clinic here in town. Really popular, got great feedback from the students. People were feeling better. A few people still losing weight. People are doing great after the fact, but they all said the same thing. They said, we want more. We need this course to be longer. So I've taken that 4-week course and I've actually expanded it to an 8-week course so we can really dive in deep and make sure that people get all the tools they need and they're also able to practice those tools. So I've named the course Peace with Food and Soul, and the tagline is learning everything you need to improve your digestion and discover your healthiest weight. It starts in a few weeks. We have 2 cohorts, and I'll get you more information about when those go. But this program is really aimed at helping the people just like yourself who are just tired of the BS diets and yo-yo ups and downs with their weight, maybe issues with their digestion that they just can't figure out. And they want a new way to look at health and a new way to look at nutrition specifically. So I've put this program together. It's going to be amazing. We already have a lot of the spaces are already filled up, but I do still have a few spaces left. And I want to invite you guys to, if it speaks to you, if it resonates with you. If not, don't worry. I hope you still get something out of this webinar. This webinar is not to say you must come join my program, but if it speaks to you and it calls to you, I'd love for you to join us. This is Amy, the girl that I was talking about with the chili. This is the direct testimonial from her. I have a few more testimonials I can share with you as well, but this is an important one to me because she was having so much painful bloating and she was dealing with feeling terrible, feeling miserable. And after learning the information in the course, she was able to really take those tools, harness them, and really change her digestive power, as well as the way she looked at her body. A lot of the ladies that came out of this course were like blown away at how their relationship with their body was so distorted and so screwed up, and how they actually had the power to change that and feel good in their skin. And I've had the question asked, oh, is this a weight loss program? No, it's not a weight loss program. I think of weight loss, however, as a side effect of better health. So when we do this 8-week course, a lot of people do lose weight because they're looking at their relationship with food as well as what they're eating, and they're making changes that feel good in their body. They're not going after what the guru told them to do, right? And following these strict restrictive meal plans. They're starting to pay attention to internal cues, hunger cues, satiety cues in a whole new way that really revolutionizes and makes weight loss, if it's needed, a lot less effort. So weight loss happens a lot more effortlessly. When I started doing this, I actually lost 25 pounds without even trying. In fact, I even stopped exercising and I still lost the weight. It was incredible. I was kind of like, what the hell? It was crazy. So I know this can work for weight loss, but I also can't guarantee, I never make that guarantee, but I can guarantee that you're going to come out feeling transformed in your relationship with food and body being completely different. So I'm offering this program at $387 until the 17th of January, at which time the price is gonna go up to $457, and that's to incentivize you to take action and really take care of yourself and get that discount. It's about an $80 discount. So I really, if this speaks to you, I'll be giving you some information at the end of the webinar on how you can just go learn more. I'm also booking 30-minute sessions with people if they just want to learn if it's a good fit for them. So if you're like, oh, I don't know, I kind of want to scope this best character out a little bit more, feel free to get in touch with me. I'd be happy to ensure that it's a good fit for you. Because look, I'm not trying to talk you into it. If it's a good fit for you, it is. If it's not, that's totally okay. In addition, if you are up for the program, we're going to have, in addition to the early bird pricing, an opportunity to get 2 bonus master classes from some amazing women in the community if you enroll by the 17th. The 2 women presenting are Jo Underwood. She's an integrative life coach as well as a heart math trainer. Seriously, like life-changing, you guys. This woman is incredible. And then Jessica Schwartz, she's a licensed acupuncturist here in town. She's going to be giving us a class on Chinese medicine and the perspective of you guys, I don't know, I'm going to be learning with you, but how different organ systems are related to different emotions. And she was starting to tell me about how, I don't know, I don't remember, but there's different organs that are related to different emotions. So if you can work on the emotion, actually helps in relationship with that organ system. Again, she's going to be teaching us all this stuff. I'm going to be learning with you in these master classes, but these are just for people who take action and get enrolled by the 17th. I also am going to offer a personal guarantee with this program. So if you pay the $387 and you decide that after 2 classes, okay, you come to they're in person, by the way, in-person classes, that the material just isn't for you, you're not resonating with it, you don't like it, I will give you 100% of your money back, guaranteed, no questions asked. Okay, so I hope that um, shows you how confident I am in this class material, that I'm giving you this guarantee. So if you don't like it, get your money back, no problem. All right, well, let's dive back in to the last 2 strategies. And these 2 are, I think, they're more mindset based. And we're going to dive deeper into these a little bit in the course to a degree, but I want to give you some caveats because there's a lot of information. So you can see number 7, morning and evening gratitudes. There's a lot of, I call it toxic positivity out there now. Like people are like, oh, just be happy and happiness will come to you, or just say positive affirmations and your dreams will come true. And it's a lot deeper than that. But we do know that when we reside in a space of gratitude, so when we do look around in our world and find things to be grateful for, this is research based, you guys, our emotional state is uplifted and our physical state uplifts alongside of it. People who look at life more more positively and have some type of gratitude practice tend to live longer. They tend to be healthier. They tend to have a healthier body weight. There's just a lot of really interesting statistics on positive attitude and its relationship to health and wellness. So when I'm feeling like terrible and I'm not feeling like there's anything to be grateful for in my life, because that happens to all of us, myself included, I encourage you to go general, and I encourage you to do your gratitude practice first thing in the morning when you wake up. When all of the sludge from yesterday is kind of dissipated in your sleep and you wake up a little more refreshed and renewed, the first thing I do when I'm on the ball is I get up, I be quiet for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and I write down at least 10 things that I'm grateful for. And I go general. So if I'm not really grateful for my husband that day, or maybe my kid is like throwing a fit every other second. Does that happen to anyone else? Yeah. Okay. I know some of you have young kids. I'm not feeling grateful for them in the moment. I can go general. I can be grateful for the sunrise, for the warm house, for my cup of coffee in the morning. I mean, you can go really, really general, but that really elicits a positive way for us to start our day and can help shift everything from our metabolism and our general energy up a notch to help us get going in the right direction for the day. Have you guys heard of Miracle Mornings? There's like a whole book written on how to create look it up if you're interested, but it's called The Miracle Morning. It's a book written by some author, I can't recall the name, but it's about how your morning really sets the stage for your productivity, your energy, your vitality for the rest of the day, and then ultimately for the rest of your life. It's interesting. It's a good book. Take what you like and leave the rest. That's what I do with most information I consume, is take what resonates, what feels really good for you, and then, you can let the rest go. But morning and maybe evening gratitudes can be really helpful when you're trying to successfully stick with your 2020 goals. Because it's when we start getting into that negative space that we just give up and we say, well, screw it, I'm just going to eat the bag of Doritos because everything else is going wrong in my world. Why not just do that? So it's really easy to fall off the rails with more negative thinking. And the last one is probably one of my favorite of the tips for tonight, and that is getting curious. This is something, again, we will spend more time exploring in the 8-week course, but getting curious about our decisions that we make, about the foods that we eat. We're specifically talking about strategies for reaching your healthiest weight and your best health this year. But getting curious is the most powerful tool that I have found to help me in my journey towards better health. Getting curious about why I stuffed those. This happened to me the other day. What was I telling you guys in the class? What did I eat? Oh, I made some holiday food. I made these like little, I don't know, like little bread things. They're bread cookies. They're called kringla. They're delicious. Anyway, I ate like 3 of them in a row one day, like right before we were leaving on vacation. I ate like 3 in a row. No question. I don't know why. And getting curious about that really helped me see that not only I wasn't just feeding myself because I was hungry, because I wasn't. I mean, it was good. The sugar was yummy, and sugar has an addictive quality to some degree. But what I was doing by getting curious, I looked at that behavior and without judgment, okay, taking the judgment out of the equation, I looked at that behavior because I still have these behaviors. You guys, this is a lifelong journey. I looked at that and I said to myself, wow, I'm really anxious about this upcoming travel, because we were getting ready to go on 10 days to Kentucky to visit my husband's family. And I have all these projects I'm working on. I mean, just traveling we drove, by the way, 18 hours across the country with a toddler and a dog. I mean, talk about a whole new level of stress. So thinking about that and trying to avoid, I was eating out of avoidance of dealing with what I needed to get done for that trip, right? So getting curious got me off the hook. It got me off the hook. There was no reason to judge myself. The kringle was delicious. I ate it. I didn't feel great, but I learned something in that experience, and I'm able to position myself the next time that kind of experience comes up, like the big travel thing. I'm able to position myself in a better way, that I can access those feelings in a different way and use different methods to deal with the stress than stuffing my face full of Kringla. Does that make sense? The other thing that I got really curious about early on when I started going through this was how food was going to affect how I felt, more than, again, throwing away the scale really helped. And I got curious about how I was feeling after meals. So instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to eat this meal because this guru told me to, right? This guru told me that this is what I should eat to balance my hormones and lose weight and XYZ, heal my digestion. Instead of assuming that as truth, I got curious and I said, okay, when I eat this, how do I really feel? Do I feel better? Do I feel more energized, or do I feel bloated, uncomfortable? And through that process, sifting and sorting through that, I was able to really learn and discover what it was to be a nutritionist from the inside out instead of the outside in. And that's something I want all of you guys to experience. So a simple practice is when you find yourself mindlessly eating, or maybe you're mindfully eating in front of a plate of delicious food, but get curious about your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings that are coming in while you're eating the food, as well as an hour or two after. And recognizing without judgment what went well and what maybe didn't, so you can position yourself for better choices at your next meal. Does that make sense? I hope on some level it does, because that in and of itself, that curiosity perspective can literally change everything. I have some training in yoga. I know we have a yogi on the call today. And in yoga, and when I taught yoga in the past, when we're on our mat, we oftentimes talk about, letting go of the ego and getting curious about what's going on in the body, and really listening. Don't go as deep as the teacher unless you feel good doing it. And it's the same thing with other aspects of our life, including our food. Don't do things because the guru told you to, if it doesn't make you feel better. So I know someone on this call specifically, I think I let you off the hook. I'm not going to pin you down, but when I told you that you didn't have to do intermittent fasting because it made you feel like hell. Okay. So one of you on the call today was trying to do intermittent fasting, felt like crap, right? And felt like it was what she had to do to meet her health goals, but it's not. If you don't feel well doing it, some people feel great on intermittent fasting. Talk to my husband. He skips breakfast every day. It's like his miracle. He feels so much better. I can't do that. So all of us are so different. So curiosity is going to set the stage for us to become more mindful in a very flowing and easeful way. Is easeful a word? What's a better word for that? In a more graceful way. Okay. So getting curious is my last little tip of advice to really conquer these 2020 goals, these new decade goals for yourself. So, here's the deets once again. So just to remind you guys, the deets for the class, we're starting on either January 22nd. We have a Wednesday evening class at In the Moment Wellness Studio. It's actually where I'm recording right now. It'll be at 6:30 p.m. for eight consecutive weeks. And then for those of you who have a longer lunch break or more flexible work days, we also have a Friday afternoon starting January 24th, same week of the month, but it's at noon to 1. And the class is about an hour. It'll be a lot of interactive work. We're going to have a workbook. We're going to be talking about what worked, what didn't. It's a lot of community support. I'll also have a private Facebook page for you guys to access. It will just be for participants on the program where you can ask your questions, get support as needed. It'll be, like I said, 8 weeks long, all in-person meetings. If you miss a class, no big deal. I've got tons of worksheets and information for you to catch up. I'll also be gifting you an amazing book that will help you through this journey and help you do a lot of reflection. You'll get the bonus master classes if you get enrolled before the 17th, as well as the lowest price of $387 as well. And then lastly, of course, is my personal guarantee. So if you decide it's just not for you, I'll give you your money back after 2 classes. So to register, I will be sending out a registration link early tomorrow morning along with the recording. But if you are eager to get started, you just want to jump in and get started, if you want to register, you can go to my website, healthybydesignrd.com. If you scroll down, the event is towards the middle of my homepage, and you can click on that and the registration link will be found that way. You have questions, concerns, you want to hop on a 30-minute call with me just to make sure this is a good fit for you. You can text me at that phone number down at the bottom of the screen, 808-859-4788. Or you can send me an email. I'd be happy to answer any questions because I want to make sure that you're feeling good. If this is something that's calling to you, that you feel really good about the decision and it's something that you want to do. Certainly if you're like, nah, not for me, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. This is for those of you who really are excited to take the next steps, get off of that diet train and feel your best in 2020. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and I will take any questions from those of you who are here live. So thanks again, and recording is done.